thoughts, views, and comments expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on Beyond the Headlines are not necessarily those of management, ownership, or production unit of the Verizon Media Group. Beyond the Headlines is a production of ILTV Studios and cannot be reproduced or represented in part or entirety without express written permission of the Verizon Media Group. Beyond the Headlines is the intellectual property of the Verizon Media Group. Copyright 2021.
Pressure tall in the Davis camp tonight as the leadership of the Free National Movement protests demanding Halkitis and West Grand Bahama MP Kingsley Smith resign. This is their second protest. We see what took place on Bay Street today. Also tonight, the controversy and questions adding up as East Grand Bahama MP Kwesi Thompson reveals he is related to the man at the center of the protests, Eric Gardner. Also tonight, power outages bring the Cat Island Rake and Scrape Festival to a stop. BPL gives a response, and much more ahead for you tonight. This is Beyond the Headlines. Good evening. I'm Shanique Miller. It's great to have you along this evening. A political firestorm is intensifying tonight as a senior member of the Davis administration faces mounting scrutiny, growing controversy, and increasing pressure from the opposition, demanding his resignation. Today, the government was forced to take a defensive position as the opposition demanded accountability, the issue raising new questions about who knew what and when. Jose Etienne picks up the story from here.
Opposition members walking into a boisterous and heckling Progressive Liberal Party crowd as supporters dismissed the Free National Movement's calls for St. Barnabas Member of Parliament Michael Halkitis to resign as Finance Minister. The cheers intensified as opposition leader Michael Pintard made his way through the crowd, even embracing a number of PLP supporters despite the overwhelming chants rejecting his party's demands. Nonetheless, the FNM's calls for Halkitis' resignation remains unchanged.
For him to then say he was merely a director when there are clear documents that show he was the president, show that he lied on his feet.
We find it astounding that this administration feels that he is a fit and proper person to run the exchequer, the finances of this country.
It comes as ongoing reporting surrounding the arrest of convicted drug trafficker Jonathan Eric Gardner, now in United States custody on drug-related charges, has shown a spotlight on Halkitis' past affiliation with Top Notch Builders Limited, a company linked to Gardner. Those calls continue to fall on deaf ears as Halkitis, who has brushed off the opposition's demands, retains the support of the government and the PLP's base.
I'm just grateful to have them. You know, I'm opening the debate on the budget communication this morning, and I think they just came to give them their support. I really appreciate it.
We stand with Michael Halkitis, and we'll continue to stand with Michael Halkitis, no matter what. He's a great MP. He's a great cabinet minister.
Halkitis addressed the controversy days ago during a press conference at the office of the Prime Minister. The finance minister said he joined the company in mid-2019 after being approached by an attorney and not Gardner. He also stated that the company ceased operations in April 2020 due to the COVID-19 pandemic and that he resigned from Top Notch Builders and all other directorships in 2021. But Pintard continues to cast doubt on Halkitis' explanation.
He came in as president of a company, following that gentleman being the president of the company. Surely you must know who preceded you.
Also under the microscope was West Grand Bahama Member of Parliament Kingsley Smith. The FNM is calling for him to vacate the seat he's held since 2023 as questions continue to swirl about the identity of Politician 1. Smith, however, was quickly surrounded by supporters and waved off reporters' questions.
Only one for West Grand Bahama.
And that's Kingsley Smith.
The questions stem from the charter flight that crash-landed on Election Day, leading to Gardner's capture. Further complicating the matter is the discovery of an envelope containing $30,000 and the name of a politician. Smith has rejected reports implicating him as Politician 1. However, questions remain about why a convicted drug trafficker was traveling with thousands of dollars on a plane allegedly chartered to assist voters in reaching their polling stations. Meanwhile, there is still no word on when Gardner will appear in U.S. court, though he has received a visit from Bahamian consular officials. Jose Etienne, Eyewitness News.
Well, a very active day out at Parliament, as you all saw just a moment ago. A lot took place following that in the House of Assembly, but we're going to get to just this part of it, this part of the coverage with my panelists this evening. Welcome to Beyond the Headlines, Leslie Miller, Ellington Ferguson, and Howard Johnson. Gentlemen, good evening. Welcome to the show. It's great to have you all here.
Good evening, colleagues. Good evening, Bahamas.
This is the second protest that the Free National Movement, hello Howard, that the Free National Movement has held, pushing for the resignation of Michael Alcides, pushing for the resignation of Kingsley Smith, West Grand Bahama Member of Parliament. Now, what we saw today as well was perhaps something for the first time. It was a pushback on the protest, a protest of its own, and that is PLP supporters. I heard most of them from St. Barnabas themselves, there for Alcides, stating that, listen, he is their man and they do not need him and there's no need for him to resign. I want you gentlemen to jump in. First, let's talk about the Free National Movement, obviously intent on not giving up on this, continuing to push for this because they say they need more answers, further clarification. And then, as I mentioned, the protest against the protest as well today. Howard, jump in.
Yeah, well, Shanique, it's so interesting that this is still going on. And the most important soundbite for me was that the Prime Minister has decided that he is standing by his man, so to speak. And so I don't know if the opposition plans to go at this for another 4 years and 9 months, because I believe that Prime Minister Davis was unequivocal in his support for Mr. Alcides remaining in his cabinet and remaining as the Minister of Finance. So what I would suggest the opposition to do is, if they're going to use this as one of the planks in their opposition to whatever the government is doing for the next 5 years, they need to hit, as they have done, and move on to something else, because there are many other things that need to be addressed. We are looking at the budget of the country, right? The National Financial Plan, the comprehensive annual financial plan of the government, the core policy tool that reflects the national priorities of the government of the Bahamas. And yet we're talking about frivolous issues that have already been addressed and that we need to move on from.
Serious.
Shanique, this is a very serious point in this administration. Early on within this administration is a tremendous amount of distraction. Obviously, Prime Minister Davis has been firm, like Howard reiterated, that he is satisfied and pleased with Alcides. We know that members of Parliament that serves in the cabinet serves at the pleasure of the Prime Minister. And once the Prime Minister is satisfied and pleased with that member, I think if the opposition want to increase pressure on that, they need to move from calling on Alcides to resign and probably approach the Prime Minister, because right now Alcides didn't state he's on about doing the people's business. He's focused on doing the people's business, and he's not minded to move anywhere. So, the next step will have to get his boss to move him, and we didn't hear what his boss say. So that ends that.
You know, this is an interesting scenario. We just had an election on the 12th of
May.
Instead of the opposition try to gather themselves together and go to convention to regroup with the party, show the Bahamian people the way forward with their mandate, they will grab at anything to get headlines. And after a while, it will become a nuisance, you know. And the same thing happens when you go campaigning door to door and people ask you, why did you bring up all these little petty things to talk about? And, than the meaningful things that really affects the life of the average, ordinary Bahamian.
Like the budget.
I got it there this morning about 9:15 this morning. The F&M had a crowd of about 10 to 15 people. The chairman was there, the leader was there, folks, the former representative was there, and a few women. That was it. Mike Halkitis, the Honorable Minister for Finance, I was surprised, was the first member of Parliament to walk there by himself to go in the halls of Parliament around about 9:30. He got there very early. You know, and he was stopped by the crowd of PLPs. He had many of his supporters from his constituency who was there supporting him, as they rightly should. He spoke to the press, you know, and he asked the question, how long is this going to go on for? I answered this at the press conference he had in the Prime Minister's office. They just wouldn't stop.
Well, Leslie and everyone, and Leslie, I want you to continue because I know that you spoke as well out there today. You spoke with the media and you shared your thoughts. But the F&M is sticking and kind of zeroing in on one point, and the point is this. Halkitis said, no, I served as a director, and my services, obviously offered my services as in his expertise. They're saying, no, it's proven that you were president and director. But that position, and we combed through that last week.
Yes.
That position was about a year that he held. On paper, it said that.
Yes.
And then when you kind of gave the timeline, it was even less than a year before he resigned.
Yes. And COVID was in the middle of COVID.
And this is why he served less than a year.
Man, what is the problem with this leader in the F&M? The guy can't get nothing right. What will Michael Keita's resignation mean for them? It is not going to happen. The Prime Minister is not going to let Mike go anywhere because he has done nothing wrong.
But is there a legitimate reason that he must let him go?
What? Could you name a reason? Could you find one?
That's what I'm asking you all. Because you see, tonight the Bahamian people are a little, I'm sure, wondering, like, man, hold up. Is there some legitimacy to the calls for his resignation? Or what? What are we doing here?
No, what they're wondering is if the opposition has nothing better or more succinct to talk about that affects our lives, like the high price of fuel right now, which extend to the food stores, the high price of electricity, and the damn outages they have now. You know, people are on with their lives. You remember school is coming out, most private schools are coming out this week, you know. You know, them the children can be home eating like hell.
Yeah.
What they're looking at, where I can get this extra money from to feed these little dudes, right?
Yeah.
All day. Because you can't feed them on cereal the whole day while we go to work.
Plus, it's going to be,
That's what they're thinking about.
Be warmer. So therefore, it's a whole lot to think about.
Yeah, how are you going to make my life better? We just choose a new government. I need you to at least discuss the plans that you have for this financial year. To the Bahamian people, tell us what you're going to do, please, that is going to advance our cause and enrich our lives. Please, that's what they want to hear, but they're not getting an opportunity to do so. It's a distraction that is unnecessary, and it's time they stop it.
So is the government's message in its 2026, 2027 budget getting lost in the shuffle of this?
That's what's going on.
It is? It is, Howard?
Yes,
right now.
Shanique, here's why. See, Shanique, the problem is politics, right? You remember when the Prime Minister announces that there's going to be an election, any Prime Minister, there's a short window of time between the announcement of that election and the election itself, right? Very short window. That's supposed to be the window where we politic and we campaign and we do all of those things that get people elected to government, right? What we've done is we've bastardized that process. We flipped it. So the politics time is the long window and the governance time is the short window. What you're seeing happening now is politics, and everybody does it. We have to understand when we have to check the politics and the political posturing and the political games at the door, and when we have to take up serious national issues that impact the lives of Bahamians on a daily basis, like Leslie is saying.
People of their
people are definitely
that part is true. People are looking for real opportunities, real answers, real solutions, and a very definitive sort of presentation of the way forward.
Yes.
Ellington, you want to jump in?
Well, I think if anything, there needs to be a holistic approach to it. There needs to be a call for a holistic approach because this particular individual that they're focusing on, Mr. Gardner, he have worked across administration lines. So we really need to look at the total sum of what all transpired with each F&M administration, Progressive Liberal Party administration. Let's look at the total picture of this and see where we are, and to find out whether anyone was really conflicted, whether anyone were aware of the not who this person is. Obviously, whoever was working with the firms had to know the person, but to know that this person was either laundering money or dealing in nefarious activities. I think a more comprehensive, in-depth study need to be looked into this whole matter.
But we wouldn't know any of that until the case goes to court.
Absolutely.
In New York. Give it a chance. Come on, man. This is the country we got to run.
Yeah, absolutely.
The foolishness and the pettiness.
That part doesn't have to go to court in New York. We have our own government that was dealing with this company, so that is completely different from the case. So I'm talking about us looking into this company's interaction with government, and if we could investigate as to what persons who work with this persons knew about what he was doing.
I'm sure people knew that they would not have been associated with the company.
That is
the reason.
I mean, a legitimate, as we discussed last week, a legitimate company
I'm not going to try
legitimate business and getting government contracts and legitimate business in the Bahamas.
And Shanique, so, I'll say this last thing right here, Shanique.
Yeah.
I'll say this last thing to put this to bed.
Yeah,
listen, in the court of political opinion, if Marvin Dames did not have to stop being a candidate because of his link, that's the word the opposition leader used, because of his link to someone engaged in nefarious activities, then Michael Halkitis has no case to answer in the court of political opinion.
Well, let's talk about that, because the F&M would say then to you, Howard, listen, Marvin Dames was not elected. He was not successful at the polls.
But he was a candidate.
But you were saying he
was
is
a candidate.
Obviously connected to someone with a similar issue, and while
he is a candidate to be elected.
Exactly.
And because he was a former cabinet minister.
And to be Minister of National Security, don't forget.
He would have been a minister again. So
exactly.
This is what I'm saying. And my point isn't to make a political argument. My point is to say, you've done this over here, and something's happening over here. So what do we need to do? You be quiet over here, you be quiet over there, and let's get on with the governance of the country.
Yeah, listen, you made a legitimate point because the Dames sort of counter argument did appear in some places where you go. People would say, but wait a minute though, what is the Marvin Dames thing? And of course, nobody has officially put that to the F&M because, like I said, the F&M would say he was not elected.
But not once in the entire campaign did the leader opposition ever answer the press as to why he was a candidate with that hanging over his head. He never answered. He never entertained it. What's that telling you? Because Marvin Dames probably had something over him.
Again, listen. Let's get on with the business of the people.
I'll tell you this,
in the house today, because we're skipping through a lot as before we go to the first break tonight. East Grand Bahama Member of Parliament Kwesi Thompson revealed that convicted drug trafficker Jonathan Eric Gardner, the person at the center of all of this, is related to his wife. Thompson stopped short of revealing exactly what that relationship is, while denying that he benefited in any way
so what do you have to say
from Gardner. Gardner was one of course we know
that
exactly.
Make any sense?
Of course we know what happened. But listen, y'all, how crazy just talking about his connection with Gardner. Like what's up? Like what y'all make of that?
Come on.
Again, and I said it a while ago, we got to be careful when we are doing things. And I try to manage and gauge how I approach this whole situation as it play out. Because when you look at it like this, and I talked about the former administration also working with this top-notch construction company, where this Mr. Kwesi Thompson was also a minister in that former administration. Who would have known him then better than just about every and anybody?
Exactly.
If he was involved in any nefarious activities,
so why did they allow him to keep the
family
contract?
members would know well, Cuz or Brain or whoever he is kind of mixed up on that
So why did they allow him
so,
to keep the contract?
So, I mean, it is mind-boggling, the fight we take. I didn't want to go the route of the Marvin Dames situation. I didn't want to mention that. Howard brought it in, so let me touch that. The thing is, Marvin Dames stated clearly that he was going for a cabinet appointment, and he said wherever Mr. Pinta had put him, he was going after some people.
Yes.
So this is a person directly connected to this drug boat, and y'all. So I mean, y'all, let's be fair. When we talk all of this, let's not confuse people's mind. Let's not confuddle the Bahamian public mind because we're trying to score and do stuff like that. Of course, there are some things that needs to be answered, but let's be careful how we handle our own affairs.
In fact, you know what? I think Howard said it best. Let's move forward.
Please, man.
Bahamian people and their lives and their futures depend on it. When we come back, we're going to look at a major project announced today for liquefied natural gas. Leslie, I think you would be very interested in that. This is Beyond the Headlines. We're back right after this.
Hey, it's your boy Charlie Bahama here at Superwash, Superwash's newest spokesmodel, and I'm here to tell you about Superwash's large capacity washers and dryers for all your big loads.
I know I see that Charlie Banana coming here just now.
Luckily it's also big enough for me to hide it.
I thought he was right over here where these large capacity washer and dryers is. They're big enough now to handle your big loads, you know. Yeah, like your comfort on your blanket. But just look at us. Somebody forget to turn on the dryer. Oh, stop! Help! You hear something? Yeah, that's the sound of clean. Superwash washes you, process you, and entertains you 24/7.
Did you know that when you shop at cbsbahamas.com, you can see directly into our vendors' warehouses? What that means is even if we only have a dozen of an item available in store, you can order virtually as many as you want directly from our vendors and have it delivered to your doorstep in just 10 to 14 days. You don't have to worry about shipping, imports, duties, or any of the hard stuff. Our back order program is unique, and it's only at cbsbahamas.com.
In a world of imagination, even a little mess can be part of the adventure. But for a truly royal snack, we need a clean slate. A few drops of Penalin dish liquid makes even dried-on paint disappear like magic. Penalin dish liquid, powerful cleaning in 3 fresh scents.
Wealth should not only belong to a select few. At InvestStar, we believe the door should be open to everyone. We provide options for planning a better future. Our investment funds are designed to assist you in reaching your long-term financial goals. Let us show you how.
Well, could there be relief in the long term? Take a listen at this. A major move to secure financing for the country's first liquefied natural gas plant through a public-private partnership with Focal Holdings Limited. Devontae Hanna has the details in this story.
Months of discussions coming now to the final moment where the country will now have its first LNG plant constructed here in New Providence. Now it was all sealed with a ceremonial signing here at Zappadilla Restaurant.
Focal's financing platform for its LNG to power project officially closed for a lump sum total of $379.2 million. That includes a $335 million Bahamian dollar syndicate loan led by CIBC with participation from RBC Royal Bank, Scotiabank, and Bank of the Bahamas. It also includes a US dollar component totaling $42.2 million from the US Export-Import Bank of the United States.
This transaction, which has been pegged at nearly $400 million, is a significant moment for the Bahamas. This, according to Sir Franklin Wilson, he's the chairman of Focal Holdings Limited. He says that this is the largest quantum of Bahamian dollar for any private transaction in the Bahamas.
Great thought into this transaction was to make sure Focal has the capacity to grow. And this structure in Bahamian dollars and that alignment with US dollars opens a door that is extremely wide.
Now, a major campaign promise for the Davis administration within the last general election was to ease the burden on the Bahamian pockets. Now, Energy Minister JoBeth Colby-Davis says with this introduction of LNG to the Bahamas, that is exactly what is expected.
It takes a lot to get us to that point in the grid, but the terminal is a key part of that. Building that regasification LNG terminal out at Clifton, and then having that provide the LNG into the generation, the conversion of those engines would allow us to then see LNG being as the fuel that goes into the grid to provide power. And that would be one of the leading fuels. It's cleaner, it's affordable, and it allows us to bring the cost down, but also expand the technology.
And it's not the first time the introduction of LNG to the Bahamas has been discussed, but today's signing marked a historic move towards that goal. No exact timeline on the construction phase has been revealed. Devontae Hanna, Eyewitness News.
Well, Leslie, you certainly know about LNG and its potential to drive down costs. Plus, as you heard the Minister JoBeth Colby-Davis say, also address the matter of clean energy so that it's better for the environment. Your thoughts, though, Leslie, to see this now in black and white and sort of obviously progress being made in this regard?
What is happening now in our country could and should have happened during our first term in office from 2002 to 2007. When one of the world's leading conglomerates, AES Corporation, came here with a proposal along with several other major European conglomerates on US and the UK to put up a LNG terminal at Clifton Pier and one at Arawa Key, except for the fact that the people of the Bahamas, the public treasury, was going to get $1.2 billion over 20 years for approving that project to be placed on Ocean Key. I'm not too far from Bimini, the island of Bimini. During that time, a group of Bahamians got together. They had this woman, you don't see her no more, you don't hear from her no more, she just disappeared. And there was a group who just was hell-bent on distracting the people, saying that it was not good for the Bahamas, it was gonna blow up, gonna destroy the ocean, fishes were gonna die. You know, and you saw that we brought the top scientists in the world. We went to the United States government, had meetings with members of Congress concerning it. Everybody was on board for it. Never happened, because it wasn't supposed to happen. Guess what is happening now? Was in the card from 2002 to 2006 and then on, and it came full cycle now, except for the fact that the people of Bahamas is not going to get one damn penny
What do you mean,
from this operation. What is going into the public treasury? The 1.2 billion is gone. We're never going to see that. We were also going to take back the Aragonite contract from AES and give that to Bahamians. That was a part of it too, and have a ship to go with it. You know, that's why you see me made a conscious decision after we lost in 2007, never to go back in the cabinet as long as I live. And I made that decision, never to go back. Because what we had was for the first time in our history, was going to
A
directly
plan that
benefit the people of this country with a
Bahamians, yeah.
40% reduction. AES was going to spend their money to transform 40% of the equipment, 70% equipment at Clifton to get the regasification terminal set there. It didn't happen. And I got to apologize to people again for what has transpired in our lives. Because Sir Lyndon Pilden, God bless him, Mr. Hanna, people like Carlton Francis, Sir Cecil Wallace, and those always said to us as young fellas, the day has to come when the government of Bahamas have to have a contract with an oil-producing company in this hemisphere. Then came along Petro-Carib, which was done between the minister responsible for fuel in Venezuela and myself, that sat down in Outages and put that program together. Every country in the hemisphere signed on to it, except the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. We were the ones, every month, the presidential plane used to come and pick us up, my team and I, to go to Venezuela. Every minister in the Caribbean had to go through us in the Bahamas to get it, and they have benefited. Jamaica, I'm told, has already benefited by over $4 billion US. And what we got? Nothing. It was always planned that way, that the few should continue to dominate the many. And that's one thing I've always regret in my life as a member of Parliament, that what we really needed for the people, we couldn't get done. And what the people should have gotten, the few will now get. And I just thank God I'm still alive to see that this project has gone full cycle. First, we're going to blow up the Bahamas. All the seabed was going to be blown up. Now you don't hear a damn word, but anything being blown up. You know why? There was never loss of life at any regasification terminal in the history of that
LNG.
product in 140 years. But here, all these guys who in the business were telling Bahamians, oh, you can blow it up. You can die. Port King don't know what the hell he's talking about. His team don't know what they talk, even though we had all the experts. But that's how life is. I just hope we learn from this. That there's some people in this country don't give a damn with the average, ordinary Bahamian and never will.
Well, that's very obvious.
Never will.
Very, very obvious.
In this lifetime or the
It
next.
doesn't matter where they stand politically.
Okay.
The point is, there are those. And so that's why we must move this nation forward. Howard and Ellington, I'll give you all an opportunity after this. Let me just get to this. Bahamas Power and Light's troubled track record was back in the spotlight in Parliament today as East Grand Bahama MP Kwesi Thompson blasted the government over yet another high-profile power failure. Thompson pointed out to the weekend blackout that disrupted the Rake and Scrape Festival in Cat Island, arguing that the incident is just the latest example of a problem that has plagued both the Family Islands and New Providence for years. The opposition MP accuses the Davis administration of failing to fix an issue that continues to leave residents and businesses in the dark, despite now being into its second consecutive term.
You have had more than enough time to fix these problems. After this stage, responsibility rests squarely with the government. Bahamians, they want to know when it's going to be fixed. They don't want any more talk. They don't want any more excuses. Fix the problem. That's all they're saying. Fix it. Grand Bahamians are also waiting on results, Madam Speaker. We are still waiting for the benefits promised. When will electricity become more affordable? When will the reliability improve? Where is the roadmap for modernizing the system? And more importantly, when will they have an opportunity to own and benefit from the power company?
Well, Energy and Utilities Minister JoBeth Colby-Davis addressing the power outages over the weekend, including right here in New Providence. And while she did not speak specifically to the challenges experienced in Cat Island during the Rake and Scrape Festival, Colby-Davis explained that some outages were planned for maintenance but lasted longer than expected.
Sometimes we are requested to take some of our circuits offline so that they can get the work done. What you would see is because we had a spike in our heat wave in May, which we normally see happen in late August, September. But this year we've seen the sort of spike we see in August, September happening in May. So it's put a lot of demand in areas where they're usually utilizing 2 circuits, and we had them on 1 circuit simply to complete some foundational work. When you have that happen, there may be faults on your grid that doesn't show itself, like maybe a little fault or a little situation on the grid that normally doesn't show itself, and you could still have a grid that's functional. But when you have so much load sometimes coming onto the grid, then that's when those faults show themselves. And what you've been seeing is some areas with a lot more load and demand in cases where we're doing a lot of the foundational work. We haven't been load shedding. Load shedding normally happens when we have a shortage of fuel and our demand is much higher. And so we have to take some time with some areas to be able to spread that. What you would see is more planned outages. So where we may have to take one of our 132 kV lines or one of our circuits offline, we may have to start advising ahead of time just so we could take that down, do the work, and then bring that back online.
Gentlemen, I tell you, whatever needs to happen must happen and must happen right away. Because you heard her say, Colby Davis, say load and demand, and that is what in May revealed itself because of the heat, the heat that doesn't happen until much later in the summer. You've also, if you've been monitoring and watching, you've heard weather officials say this is going to be a warmer than usual summer. And so the good news they're saying is it'll affect, because of El Nino, affect the hurricane season, which is to be lower than normal. But dear God, the heat. So your thoughts now on everything we've seen. We've seen the LNG contract. We've seen the outages that even affected the Rake and Scrape Festival and areas here in New Providence over the weekend. You heard the minister a moment ago. This work obviously is nothing. It's not a quick fix, and it's not something to happen overnight. But you know, sometimes that's just not good enough. It's not the most comfortable thing to hear.
Listen, VEC always have rental units that we bring in every summer to take care of the spike in the demand during this period. I'm sure they have them there. Oh, Dad, Blue Hills that we always have coming in. Maybe because of the spike again, and because of the heat. You remember now in Britain, for the last month, every day set a new record. And they expect the same thing to happen in the Bahamas. It shows you that climate warming is real. And it's going to affect all of our lives in a negative way. And we just have to go through these things that's going on and hope for the best. That's all you can do, hope for the best.
Shanique, I mean, I understand the whole process that's going on with transforming the grid and putting in a whole new system. And so I am prepared to work with them over the next couple of months as they continue to change the grid and put in new stuff and transform from one type of energy to the next. However, as it relates to the planned outages, I think they need to be more deliberate when we're having functions such as the Rake and Scrape Festival and to ensure that there is no planned outages around those time and around those festivals to interrupt them. Those people put a lot into preparing for those festivals. Those festivals are main booster for the economy in these family islands. So we need not to have these planned things happen, these planned outages around those type of time, if that is what exactly that happens. So
never should happen.
Yeah, and Shanique, for me, I mean, it's just so interesting and it's sad because it happened at a time like the Rake and Scrape Festival. For some of these people, like Ellington is alluding to, this is the biggest pay they their stuff
months and months.
Yeah, they're selling this locally and they're making a pay in there. But the crescendo of what they can make takes place at this time. This Rake and Scrape Festival, this period, this weekend, is where they're going to the biggest payday, and they're going to be able to collect a huge sum of money that's going to last for months and months. And now that was not able to happen because of this outage. And that's the element that I stick with. Political arguments, but I stick with what is happening to Bahamians. How are they being impacted? And then this happens in the constituency of the Prime Minister, no less.
In his presence.
And while he was there. While he was there. I mean, this is egregious. This is so, it's mind-boggling to me that this happens to these people, first and foremost, it happens in the Prime Minister constituency, and it happens while he's there. We have to fix these problems. They've been long-standing legacy problems, but we can only kick the can down the road for so long and keep making excuses or keep saying, you know, just one more fix, just one more element we need to add to get this right size, and we have to fix the problem.
I absolutely agree, gentlemen. You know, and we understand it is a heavy lift, not has been, and obviously it will happen incrementally. But we want to see some real tangible results happening now. You all know what heat is? Yeah. You understand what heat is? And
you ever think of those poor Bahamians?
Absolutely.
That have no air conditioning.
Yeah, absolutely.
Something that has no fan.
Don't do my PM like that. One person will search him, then the next one flick out the light on him. Wait a minute.
He had a little tough time. You trying to say the woman say, take your shoes off and put it on the conveyor belt, and now the man got
they flip the light off.
I don't understand.
No respect.
Yeah, no respect. Put some respect on. Hey, put some respect on Brave name.
They pull a Rodney Dangerfield on him. No respect.
Listen, when we come back, we are going to talk about the fact that the Royal Bahamas Police Force cannot attract men. You heard that? Beyond the Headlines is back right after this.
Welcome to Paradise Premium Foods, where exceptional taste meets everyday convenience. Right in the heart of Hurricane Hole Plaza, whether you're planning a beachside brunch, an intimate dinner, or simply restocking your favorites, we offer only the finest selection of local and imported goods, handpicked for quality, freshness, and flavor. At Paradise Premium Foods, shopping is effortless, service is personal, and every visit feels like a treat. From gourmet meals to go to organic essentials and indulgent treats, this is your neighborhood market elevated. Live well, eat better. Discover Paradise Premium Foods, now open at Hurricane Hole Plaza, Paradise Island. Paradise Premium Foods. Taste the difference.
Edenwell has expanded their testing menu. We now offer blood work, drug screening, and so much more. Our hours of operation are Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., and Saturday, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m., located on 11 Madera Street. We are here for all of your laboratory needs, with fast and reliable lab work done by our friendly and knowledgeable staff. Let us help you take the needed steps to stay in the know about your health. Let's keep working towards a healthier you. Stay Eden well.
So you want a space, but not just any space. You need something with a little more potential. So how about 1,000 square feet of room to play with? Superb audio and video production capability, digital LED wall, full lighting grid, and about 124 seats to accommodate a full studio audience with so many other features. Make us your home for your next concert, conference, and so much more. Honestly, the possibilities are endless. Here at ILTV Studios, we'd love to bring your next event to life. So what do you say? Do you want our space?
A troubling trend is emerging within the country's uniformed services, and officials say it's becoming increasingly difficult to ignore. That is, the lack of men who are qualified to serve the country on the front lines. Linton Ritchie Jr. has the story, and then we'll come back and talk about it.
Commissioner Don Clare says consultations with other uniform branches have revealed a consistent trend since 2021, with a decline in the number of eligible men applying for service.
Only females now are probably are meeting the necessary requirements. We are going to be in trouble if we can't get qualified males to join these uniform branches.
The concern was on full display this week as BDOCs aimed to recruit 100 new officers, 70 men and 30 women. Instead, the final tally stood at 48 males and 38 females. Clare says many male applicants either failed to meet basic entry requirements or were eliminated during the background check process. He believes the issue extends beyond recruitment and reflects broader challenges facing communities and families across the country.
Ensure that your children get the proper education while they're in school. Only when they come out, they will send these pretty resumes with empty qualifications.
Despite the shortfall, Clare commended the growing number of women who chooses careers in law enforcement and corrections, describing the job as one that often requires sacrifice under difficult conditions.
There's nothing to say that women cannot do the job, but still, you need that male factor in the uniform branches. And right now, it is difficult.
The commissioner says he has proposed solutions to government aimed at attracting and retaining more young men in the profession.
National Youth Guard. And if we can get these persons to join the National Youth Guard at age 10, 11, instead of 16 in the schools, we can steer much more young men from going the opposite direction.
And while recruitment remains a challenge, Clare says the department will not lower its standards to fill positions.
Female in the squad. The first one of you messed up or do wrong, I can let you go. And you know why? Because we have an abundance of you. But it is the males who I will try to massage and wash your toes and wash your feet. They try to get you in line. But if you do fool, we still can let you go.
Linton Ritchie Jr., Eyewitness News.
I think it's the massaging of these men that have them feeling so more entitled. Do you notice men now just feel like they need to be pampered princesses in the Bahamas? In the Bahamas, what y'all think? How would you jump in? Pampered princesses.
Somebody would pamper me.
I know what that.
They sure don't pamper the pot cake, I'll tell you that.
Shanique, what I ain't gonna let you do tonight is cause me to go against the G code and lose my street cred. So you could keep that. But anyway, you know, what this highlights, Shanique, is there's so many variables. The first thing is, he said that, you know, they can't pass the background check or meet the basic qualifications. So that means that the education system to some degree is failing, and that's not the teachers. I have a problem with the system itself, and that's another topic for another time. We don't have a system that's for us. It's the British system that came from them. But anyway, we have the system that's failing our young men. Some of them are getting arrested. They're not charged with crimes or convicted, and they are back out on the streets. But this arrest is not wiped from their record, so it shows up in the background check. Then we have young men who are out here like ships without a sail because they don't have qualified mentors who can guide them and help to keep them off the streets and be role models to them. So there are so many things that are coming together that could be potentially impacting the lack of young men that we have who are capable of going into the uniform branches and making a difference. Then you got to look at the fact that, hey, right, for the danger that's involved. Because when we look at the Department of Corrections, man, when you clock in for your shift, you in prison for 8 hours too. You see? And so you cannot escape that reality. So unfortunately, at this time, there are so many negative variables that are coming together, and it's causing these problems for our uniform branches.
Shanique, it's very frustrating for me when I listen to the commissioner, and then I reflect as I listen to him on what we see daily happening on our streets and in our schools. the kind of things that we observe our young men engaging in and the way our communities and homes are run. And the commissioner talked about the few men that that fully meet the qualifications. And I can imagine if you check the names of some of those, you'll kind of, you know, squinch when you hear some of the names. He also talked about those that has the qualifications, but soon as they do the background check, they cannot meet up to it because of activities that they've been involved in their communities. And then there are many of us that stand by and we criticize about who's coming and who's taking our jobs and stuff like that. We as men and we as family, we need to do more to ensure that our young men and our children are walking the right path between these schools and our home. We need to be more involved in the activities that they are involved in between these schools and our homes. And we see them with all these fights in these schools, televised. All of these things is what prevents those young men from being eligible to go in these armed forces. There are certain sector of people that we are alarmed about, that you see them, walking them big children to junior school, not only primary, junior school and all. Walking them to and going back to school to pick them up. And some fathers are somewhere by the bar while their children is hustling. I'm talking Bahamian fathers. Their children hustling in their way to and from school, and he got 2 beer in his back pocket, 2 in his hand, and he chill, he tough. And that's what we showing, and that's the kind of image that we putting before our young men. This is what being a man is. Hang out, be tough, fight, carry on, stupid. Get your beanie and stuff. And you can't. And this is our dilemma. This is a dilemma. We've got to do better and stop looking and complaining about everybody else that see opportunity in this country and come and try to take advantage of the opportunity that exists in this country. Nobody should be unemployed in this country. You're unemployed because you're lousy.
You know, I've had first-hand experience in these situations with the armed forces of our country. The police, defense force, immigration, trying to get people to wake up at the prison. The young women, first of all, understand that at some point they can have a child. Then they need to learn to get a job to take care of their child. The young fellas, when they go and everybody join up, I want to go to the defense force, I want to be a policeman. And they take a test to get in there. Most of the fellas are very marginal at best. The problem comes when they go to the defense force for the training now. Training is very intense. Something like 20% of the fellas drop out within the first 3 weeks. They just can't take it. You got to wake up 5 o'clock, you got to do this, you got to do that. But what is the number one problem they have? When halfway through the program, the people who you answer to, everyone to take you on those courses, all the gym, all the stuff that you do, say, now listen, fellas, you got to take a drug test again for marijuana.
That's a problem.
And what they don't understand is marijuana stays in the system for almost 6 months. One smoke stays in the system.
Absolutely.
And what the guy says to you, if you know you've been smoking grass, it's best for you to quit the program now. Because if you quit now, we can give you a chance with the next group coming in the next 6 months. And I give you an opportunity to stop smoking your grass. Because it could be in your system again. And I've seen so many young fellas with my first-hand experience with them that didn't make it because of grass.
I was trying to hire one because of the same thing. I couldn't hire them, couldn't get on my
And now
insurance.
they got to wait for next time to get in when their system is clean. The young women, but we always say, the women always run our country. You all are the ones who make the contribution. The fellas of yesterday, you say, smoking grass, acting like a jackass up and down, got to follow the tough guy on the block who's now either in prison or in the grave.
Leslie, you
That's
make
who they
an
want to
incredible
follow.
point, because I wanted to ask you gentlemen do the women of the Bahamas go through a different school system? You mentioned the influence
No.
of the British system, Howard. Also, so somehow we have the American system,
They grow up to be mothers.
and the men have the British system.
No, they grow
are
up to
just
go be
lazy,
mothers.
lackluster, under-inspiring, looking for any excuse, and just doggone dumb. Don't want to do nothing. Don't want to be nothing.
What
they
has
ain't
happened to
interested
those
in
girls
nothing.
who we saw last week? Fighting each other,
Fighting.
taking the moment to good young girl.
Again,
What has happened to them?
Again.
You heard anything?
Listen to me. A bunch of spawns.
Huh?
Yeah, no,
You
we
heard
haven't.
anything?
No, we haven't.
Okay.
And they will be in school
Okay.
again come August, September.
Be
They'll
serious,
be back in
man.
school. No, we're not serious. And they can't even spell fight. That's the thing. You know, parents, this summer, how about this? How about you all try save the money? Don't be trying to do all this like, vacationing abroad. Save the money.
Everybody got the money.
Have good family experiences, but also look in the mirror and make a commitment to yourself that you are going to be a parent come this new school year, because
Once
your
in your
kids'
life.
future depend on it. They can't grow up dumb and leave school dumb. Cannot, because you will not be able to participate in this new burgeoning economy.
That's why the other people taking all your jobs.
Well, that's
why we need
exactly
to put that trade school there as soon as we can.
Then we sing
To
about
save a
unemployment.
generation.
So who's going to show
Of
up?
behemoths.
But who's going to show up at the trade school?
Then we crying about unemployment, and these people are
Mandatory.
unemployable.
Exactly.
That part. That part.
Unemployable.
And so let's do something. Let's, as we want to hold
It starts with
the
us.
politicians
Start with us.
exactly accountable, and as we should.
Start with us.
Understand, the politicians working, I don't care how fantastic and successful and amazing this administration is, for example, you will not be able to participate if you don't put yourself in the position to be able to take advantage of opportunities.
Yes.
Think
Yes,
about
some
that
others-
soundly.
That's participating and taking
Telling you,
advantage
man.
of it
Oh, they are.
every day.
We got to do
Absolutely.
better.
Yes.
We got to do better as a people.
There's no more excuses
As parents,
for you all
as
being
grandparents.
lousy and
responsibility.
I
do better.
absolutely agree. And so, instead of you trying to twerk and then trying to see if you could out-twerk your daughter, twerk this.
Exactly.
Be a better
Yeah.
mother and father. And that's another thing. These men all over the place trying to
They
sow
won't make
seeds-
babies.
to
That's all they
sow
want to do.
seeds like they doggone are
Yeah, yeah.
cupcakes.
And can't take care of themselves.
And cannot take care of themselves or the kids that they produce. And so again, it's just ugly what this nation has become. We were once a very proud people,
Thriving.
whether you grew up in a two-family home or you're single, but it was just a community wonderful effort to begin to still push everyone along at the same time. And look how successful everyone, the people you're looking at now in power, they were among them, those same people.
Yes,
but
many of them.
they had parents.
Many of them.
They had parents, And so if you
Yeah.
can't be a parent, then don't lay and play. Simple as that. I'll put it in the words of Richard Lightbourne, but I don't want to go there tonight.
Go blank.
Yes, yeah.
Go blank.
Y'all remember Richard, right? Richard say, listen, man.
Yeah.
That's our spay and neuter. But listen, I thank you, gentlemen, very
Take
much.
care of your pet.
Yeah, I know, right? Leslie Miller, thank you. Ellington Ferguson, thank you. Howard Johnson, thank you. And of course, a huge thank you to all of you for tuning in this evening. I know a lot of y'all watching the NBA Finals, but come on, don't do that. Hang out with me this week.
Well, the finals are tonight?
The finals, I think it's in the middle of
Come
it.
on.
or
Game two.
something.
Game
Yeah.
two.
Game two. Yeah.
I mean, three.
Yeah, game two.
Game three.
The president's
Whatever
gonna
it
be
is.
there tonight.
The president is in New York,
Yeah.
I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
So, but y'all
Game
don't do
three.
that to me, man. Y'all come hang out. Let's have fun. And so, listen, I thank you all so much for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you right back here tomorrow evening. For the entire Beyond the Headlines team, I'm Shanique Miller. Make it a great evening, everyone.